Good evening, and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting of May 13th, 2019. My name is Kevin Calcutt. To my right, we welcome our new selectman, Chris Weeder. To my left, our other new selectman, Cece Van Tine. And to her left, our town administrator, Blythe Robinson. If you would all please join me in a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Blythe, would you mind taking the 15 seconds it will take to go through our agenda for this evening?
Yes. First item we have is for the board to consider a reorganization and elect a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. The second item is to set a meeting schedule for the rest of the calendar year, because we published that on our website. And then we'll be adjourning to a workshop portion of the meeting off camera to prepare for our annual town meeting, which is tomorrow night at the KP Middle School at 7 p.m. And then discussion of the board's priorities as it starts its work together.
Very good, thank you. All right. Action item number 1, the reorganization of the Board of Selectmen. Now, typically, the reorganization of the board is done at the polls after the election. At least it has been in the years past that I've been involved. But in this instance, the board agreed that it would be better to be able to hold this discussion in a public forum so that the public could see the discussion, the way that it goes, and exactly what we do to get to where we need to get to get everybody in their roles. So at this point, I'll open it up. Does anybody have any strong inclinations one way or another about a role that they'd like to fulfill?
I would like to be clerk.
Very well.
And I'll tell you why. Because my understanding is that the person most recently elected is clerk. To put it another way, the person who's up for election the soonest would be chair, followed by vice chair. Is that me? I'm just going to get really far away from my microphone. And then clerk. And so I think for me, it makes sense to be clerk.
Absolutely. And I think that the cycle of rotating through with somebody who comes on the board first, serving as clerk, then serving as vice chair, then serving as chair, is a good rotation to go through to be able to get acclimated with everything that's going on. I think it's been working in the past, and I don't see any reason to change that. Chris, do you agree?
Okay, I agree.
In that case, I move to appoint Cece Van Tine as the clerk of the Board of Selectmen.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Here we go, one down.
Yes.
Mr. Weeder.
That only leaves 2.
That does.
Yes. Well, what's your inclination?
Well, me personally,
Yep.
Since Jeff announced his resignation back in February, I've been preparing to serve as chair of the board. I've been coming up to speed with the functions of the meeting, of understanding the best way to go through an agenda, to meet with the town administrator, to go through building the agenda ahead of each meeting. I've been working on the communication piece because, the Board of Selectmen chair is typically the communication beacon when anything is addressed to the board as a whole. So I have been working on outreach and connecting with people outside of the community as well. And overall, in my 1 year of experience, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that that is a foundation for being able to be a great selectman, but it has given me some great direction in terms of where focus should be had and the kinds of things that need to be done to be successful. So it would be my inclination to serve as chair this year.
Okay. I think we have to look at this, we might look at it 2 ways. I think what Cece said is typically the outgoing selectman would follow suit as being chair.
Right.
What I don't want to have happen is that it become a popularity contest.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a new town administrator, we obviously have 2 new members of the board, you have 1 year on the Board of Selectmen. I think if maybe for this 1 year, we change the rules a little if we decide that's what we want to do. But then after 1 year, maybe go back to the cycle that they've used previously, so that it doesn't become a popularity contest. So I think that would mean that depending on what happens this year, next year, you would regardless be chair, I think, because your term would be the next year expiring, correct?
Correct.
Would that be right?
That is right.
So I think to me, that's the most important thing, is don't destroy the tradition or the system But maybe we can alter it if we decide to as a group, based on the fact that it's a very different year.
Absolutely.
We didn't expect Jeff to leave. Blythe obviously is new. You have 1 year experience on the board. And I think, and importantly, the one thing you didn't mention is obviously your role would be as chairman, is to make sure that the board members are heard, the public is heard, and that the meeting has a path.
Absolutely.
And I think that's important.
Absolutely.
And if you're prepared to do those things, are you?
I am.
Then I would make a motion to allow you to be the chair.
I have no issue, so I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There
That
you
just
go.
leaves, go ahead.
Does that mean that you would be chair for 2 years? Is that what you're saying? Like, I'm thrilled that you're chair, because I do think the continuity of care for the town is important. But that would then mean 2 years for you as chair, and then whoever wins next year would become clerk.
Would go through the 3-year cycle
Correct.
once again, correct?
Yeah, and I think we should preserve that in
I
this,
agree
is to
with
make
that.
sure we
I
go,
absolutely agree.
because you don't want it to
It's been
become
the
a
way, and it
popularity
just got
contest.
really confusing
And, you know,
how you're
of
gonna
somebody not
flip it
ever
around.
being excluded from being the chairman of the zoning, chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
It's gonna take
Chairman
one
of
or
the
two
zoning
meetings
board,
to do the differentiation.
chairman of the zoning board, right? If I sit in your seat, don't get too upset every once in a while, because
That's
I'm used
all
to
right.
sitting in the middle chair,
That's
right?
all right, that's all right.
Okay.
Well, that leaves us one order of business then.
Oh, I think Blythe has something.
Just
add.
to, so to clarify, Chris would be the vice chair?
Well, that was my last order. of
Excellent.
business.
Thank you.
I would move to appoint Chris Weider as vice chair of the Board of Selectmen. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
Okay.
Action item 1 down. How efficient? Action item number 2 is to consider a meeting schedule for the calendar year. One thing I've noticed over the last year is, typically as we enter into the summer months, it tends to slow down a little bit. We tend to shift to 1 meeting a month where it, is allowed and works well for us. Blythe did note that there are a couple of upcoming things we want to make sure we stay ahead of. Blythe, do you remember what those were off the top of your head?
2 things that are most important in June. One is to start the appointments process, and a little bit later in the meeting, I'm going to give you a list of all the appointments, so you can start to think about the ones that the board makes, whether you're reappointing people to continue to serve, or we're soliciting for new people to serve, whatever. That typically happens in most communities in June. It's not a law, you don't have to finish it then, but you might take care of the usual ones and so on.
Does that list include the positions that had been filled by Mr. Cuomo and Mr. Lehan as the Board of Selectmen member of a board?
Well, there's really 2 things. There's the liaison appointments, which I think you're speaking of, which is your providing assistance to other boards as a liaison to the Board of Selectmen. And then there are the appointments such as the town council for the next year and various, I think the COA members, Council on Aging Board members, those sorts of appointments usually come up for every community in June for the following year, or thereabouts. The second one, which is more important from a time perspective in June, is to take care of a list of any year-end transfers that need to be made. In the last 2 months of every fiscal year, in the first 15 days of the next, the board and first votes, and then advisory would vote second to make transfers between line items, because in municipal management, you can't end any account with less than a 0 balance. So we, the finance department and I will work closely to give you that list and move $300 from a certain expense line item to another one throughout the budget. They're usually small amounts. The big ones we take care of at town meeting, the small ones get taken care of in this last kind of cleanup, and that will be towards the end of June when we have a good handle on what those will be and the final bills are coming in.
Yeah, so looking at that, I think that where Blythe and I thought we would propose our forecast would be, we obviously have town meeting tomorrow. One more time, we have town meeting tomorrow, 7 p.m., KP Middle School. Then we were thinking of moving our next meeting to the 21st of May, 1 week later. And then 2 weeks later, doing the next meeting on June 4th. And then from there, being able to take a gauge of where we need to go throughout the rest of the next coming months.
Would the June 4th meeting be the one where we dealt with Board of Selectmen liaison and appointments?
Well, the liaisons, I think that we're going to discuss during our workshop session today. But as far as the appointments, I believe that would be targeted for June 4th.
Yes, you can start on June 4th.
Right,
You know.
begin the process.
Yep.
I can do that.
Both of those dates work for
Yep.
Yep.
both of you?
Yep.
Very well. All right, we have 2 dates.
Plug them in right
Call that a victory.
It might be helpful when you all know your summer schedules to provide to Nancy, and then we can try to figure out the week or in each month that everyone is hopefully available, given whatever summer plans that you have. We'll try to work around those so that everyone can be here.
Great idea. Very good. Does anybody have anything else? Any other questions or items you'd like to discuss before we enter into our workshop session?
Nope.
Blythe? All right, well, in that case, we thank everybody for joining us this evening. We are going to retire into a workshop session for us to discuss preparation for annual town meeting and for the discussion of board priorities as we work into the next year. Thank you so much, and we hope to see everybody at town meeting tomorrow night, 7 p.m., KP Middle School.
Is the workshop session an executive session?
It is not.
So I don't understand how you can do that under, I mean, if you're excluding